Ferrari once built a car so advanced, so brutally fast, that it was banned before it could even prove its full potential. A machine born for domination, engineered with no compromise, and remembered today as one of the wildest road cars ever created. This is the full story of the Ferrari F40, the last Ferrari personally approved by Enzo Ferrari and the car that redefined what a supercar could be. In the mid-1980s, Ferrari was facing pressure from every direction. Porsche had stunned the world with the 959, a technological masterpiece packed with all-wheel drive and electronic systems that represented the future of automotive engineering. Lamborghini was pushing visual drama and exotic appeal. The supercar war was escalating rapidly as manufacturers competed to demonstrate technological prowess and raw performance capability. Ferrari needed something extreme, something raw, something that would remind the world who built the most emotional performance cars on Earth. Instead of chasing electronics and complexity like competitors, Ferrari chose the opposite path entirely. Lightweight, turbocharged, rear-wheel drive, no unnecessary luxury, no compromise. This philosophy would define the car's essence and set it apart from everything else on the road. The project began as an evolution of the 288 GTO Evoluzione, a race-focused machine originally developed for Group B competition before the category was cancelled following fatal accidents. Ferrari engineers took that racing foundation and transformed it into a road car that felt barely civilized, retaining the aggressive spirit of its competition roots while adapting it for public road use. When the F40 debuted in 1987, it shocked the entire industry. The body was sculpted from Kevlar, carbon fiber, and composite materials in ways that were genuinely revolutionary for a production vehicle at the time. It was aggressively aerodynamic, with large air intakes feeding twin turbochargers and a massive fixed rear wing generating serious downforce. The design language spoke of pure function over form, though the form itself was undeniably striking. It looked less like a road car and more like a Le Mans prototype wearing license plates. Every curve, every vent, every aggressive angle served a purpose. There was no design element included purely for visual appeal. This was utilitarian brutality made beautiful through engineering honesty. Under the rear clamshell sat a 2.9-liter twin-turbocharged V8 producing 471 horsepower and 426 pound-feet of torque. In the late 1980s, that number was extraordinary and genuinely shocking. To put it in perspective, most supercars of that era produced 350-400 horsepower. The F40's power output was nearly in a different category. Even more impressive was the weight. Ferrari kept it around 1,100 kilograms, roughly 24-25 pounds, thanks to stripped interior panels, lightweight materials, and minimal sound insulation. There were no carpets in the traditional sense. Door panels were simple composites with exposed pull cables. The sliding side windows had small openings instead of full winding mechanisms. Air conditioning was optional and rarely ordered. The radio was absent from many examples. This was not built for comfort, it was built for speed and nothing else mattered in comparison. The performance figures were staggering for its time and remain impressive by today's standards. 0 to 60 miles per hour in around 3.8 seconds, with many tests pushing it closer to 3.7. Top speed exceeding 200 miles per hour, making it the first production Ferrari to officially break that barrier. The top speed claims reached as high as 324 kilometers per hour in some tests, though exact figures varied depending on conditions and testing methodology. It was not just fast in a straight line. The raw boost from the twin turbos delivered explosive acceleration once they spooled up, creating a driving experience that demanded respect and concentration. There was turbo lag, the moment between pressing the throttle and the boost engaging, and then sudden violence. Drivers described it as intimidating, alive, almost unpredictable. The power came in waves rather than linearly, making the driving experience something that required constant management, and that unpredictability became part of its legend. Unlike modern supercars filled with traction control and stability management systems that filter the driver's inputs, the F40 required genuine skill and courage. It communicated everything through the steering wheel and chassis. If you made a mistake, the car would not save you. If you lost grip, the electronic systems would not intervene. That purity defined its character completely. It felt mechanical, analog, and direct in ways that few cars ever have. When Enzo Ferrari, the legendary founder who had built Ferrari from nothing, saw the finished car shortly before his death in 1988, it represented something deeply symbolic. It was a statement of philosophy and personal vision. No electronic interference, no compromise for comfort or convenience, pure performance above all else. It became the final Ferrari launched under his direct supervision, giving it emotional weight and historical significance that no successor could replicate. Every owner carries that knowledge. They own the last car that Enzo Ferrari himself approved. Initially, Ferrari planned to build 400 units over a limited production run. Demand exploded almost immediately. The car became an instant legend even before customers received their vehicles. Production ultimately exceeded 1,300 cars, stretching what was originally conceived as an exclusive limited edition into a more substantial production run. Speculators drove prices into extraordinary territory even before delivery. Some wealthy buyers flipped them immediately for profit, taking advantage of the shortage and hype. It became a financial phenomenon as well as a performance icon. The secondary market prices sometimes doubled or tripled the original purchase price in the first years after launch. On the actual road, however, the F40 remained brutally honest about what it was. The steering was heavy at low speeds, requiring genuine effort to maneuver in parking lots and tight spaces. The cabin was loud with the engine and turbo noise penetrating everything. Heat from the engine and turbochargers could fill the interior, making it uncomfortable in traffic or slow driving. The ride was firm and uncompromising, transmitting every imperfection in the road surface directly to the driver. It was uncomfortable in almost every way imaginable for daily driving, yet once the road opened up and speeds increased, everything made sense. At high speed, the F40 felt stable and planted, the aerodynamics pressing it into the asphalt with impressive grip. The engine screamed past 7,000 RPM with a metallic intensity that modern turbocharged engines rarely reproduce, because modern engines prioritize refinement and smoothness. It was not about refinement or luxury, it was about emotion and connection. Over time, the F40's reputation evolved and transformed. In the 1990s, it symbolized excess and unbridled ambition during an era of excess. Posters of the bright red body hung on bedroom walls of automotive enthusiasts around the world. Video games immortalized it, making it available to millions who would never drive a real one. Magazine tests and debates about whether it was superior to rivals like the Porsche 959 became legendary themselves. But what truly separated the F40 from competitors was its rawness and authenticity. It represented the end of an era before driver aids became mandatory and increasingly sophisticated. It was the final analog Ferrari supercar before technology permanently and fundamentally reshaped the entire segment. Collectors today view it as one of the most important Ferraris ever built. Alongside legendary models like the 250 GTO and the 288 GTO Evoluzione. Values have climbed steadily and consistently, especially for well-preserved examples with original components and documented history. Unlike many limited production supercars that were carefully preserved in collections and rarely driven, the F40 was actually driven hard by some owners, adding genuine racing history and personality to surviving cars. There were even racing versions such as the F40 LM, which pushed power even further and competed in international GT racing categories, proving that the base car's engineering was fundamentally competition-ready and capable of withstanding extreme use.